The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by Bowlersmart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome to the Beef and Barnzy Show. We come to you on this Thursday and with hopefully a very special guest coming on later on. So he's in transit right now, and so we're waiting for him to get to a good spot. But as usual, I'm joined by internet personality and the looks and brains of this show, Stu Williams.
You missed that Weber Cup champion.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was thinking about it the other day. I'm 3-4 when you play the Weber Cup, and I'm 4-0 when you don't. So,
well,
let's hope you're for the guillotine. I only say it because I care.
Fair enough.
But anyway, what have you been up to this last couple of days?
Well, with the help of Alan Riley, one of our frequent contributors in here, I bought 3/4 inch plywood, which is it's just slightly underpriced of printer ink right now, and had to replace all the particle board on my shelves, so that was fun. Good times. Other than that, not a terrible amount. Watching the shows yesterday from the PWBA side, and congratulations to 900 Global staffer Stephanie Zavala for winning her third title. It was pretty impressive. You and I actually had an interesting conversation because we've had this conversation about the PBA, about the point system, and because our system determines a lot of different things that you get into events for, we both kind of feel like it overly weights wins.
Yeah.
But
the PWBA side, it feels like it overly weighs turning up. And also in the ladies, their fields aren't as deep as the men's fields by pure numbers and by the players who are in contention to win. So their point system, I think, is actually a point system that would make a lot more sense on the men's tour for how we use the points list. But to determine player of the year by that points list seems a little strange to me. For example, Stephanie Zavala has won 3 times. I mean, winning 3 times in 14 events is a pretty good clip. But right now, she almost has no chance of winning player of the year. And to me, that seems a little strange just because you missed out on the first event. Now, the first event was 3 events, but still, another example is Julia Bond, who had a very good start to the season. She's won a title and a major, and again, isn't really in the running for it. Whereas Shannon O'Keefe, who is the reigning 2 or 3 time player of the year, by her standards, has had a bit of a disappointing season. Now, still had a win, but she's just by far the most consistent player. She made the top 12 almost every time. It's a little difficult for me to think that she's closer. Like, if there was a vote, I don't think that she would be in the player of the year debate over Stephanie Zavala.
Well, speaking of the good and the great, we've all been knocked down a notch here. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to a 6-time Pro Bowler, but a little different one than we normally have on this show. He is he's third all time in receiving yards with almost 16,000 yards. He has 153 TDs, also third on the list, only behind Jerry Rice and Randy Moss. 15 years in the NFL, 1,078 catches, 13 TDs, 7 different seasons. He is the only player to have 2 touchdowns against all 32 teams. This man is a good friend of bowling, and I'm pleased to say he's always treated us with respect that maybe we didn't deserve. The great Terrell Owens. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. What's going on? How you guys doing?
Really good. And Chris, you missed out the most important CP3 champion.
He is the real reason why he's here, of course. But where does this rank in your all-time accomplishments winning the CP3?
Oh man, it ranks up there, man. Especially being able to bowl with you guys and of the likes, some real professionals. And I wouldn't say that I'm a professional by any means or by any standards, but I love the sport of bowling. Years ago when Tom Clark, who's the commissioner, asked me to, if I knew how to bowl and would I want to come on and compete. I was excited about the opportunity. And the first time, like I said, the first pro bowler I ever met was Norm Duke. That was the first guy that I met, and he introduced me really to basically the basics of bowling. And so in '96 was my first year with the Niners. There was we had a charity event. It was a bowling event at this bowling alley in San Jose, and that was kind of like my first introduction of bowling. So I've been very excited ever since. And so to win a CP3 trophy, and this is not a cheesy little trophy. This is the real deal. So it ranks up there of at the top of anything that I've done. It ranks up there.
So, well, I remember you bowled the World Series the one year, and
yep.
The thing that was most amazing about it from my perspective was that you spent the entire time making sure that you weren't getting in anybody else's way, because you were like frustrated by your own performance, but then you were like, I'm not screwing this up for you guys, am I? And everything. And it was really cool that you were that aware of the situation at the same time.
I mean, again, like I said, I was entering into a world, very different than what I'm used to, being on the field and with every sport, there's etiquette or what have you. So I wanted to be, I wanted to be proper. I wanted to be part of that, and I wanted to treat the sport and you guys with respect, just like, if you guys came to play my sport or what have you. The competition was there, but like I said, I wanted to be official.
Yeah, no, it was very much appreciated. I mean, I haven't had that many interactions with you over the years, but it was fair to say that, from my opinion, you've had a very bad rap in the media. You've always, of all of the superstars that have turned up for bowling, personally, you're the one who's dug in the most. You've rode it out the most. I remember the one year in Detroit, you came down for the PBA League.
Right, yeah. I went to
Detroit. Like, Jerome Bettis was trying to leave halfway through the middle of the game when his team was playing. You were there for about 11 hours. And if you listen to the media, Jerome Bettis is the greatest individual who's ever lived. And,
right.
You're the biggest asshole who's ever played sports. You signed every autograph that was imaginable. Yeah, I mean, it was awesome that you stuck it out like that, and we really appreciated it.
No, and honestly, I appreciate you guys saying that, and the fact that you noticed that says a lot. And so over the years, a lot of people have always asked me, and I was just, I have my own podcast as well, and I was just explaining this to one of our guests, that a lot of people do think that I'm arrogant. A lot of people do think that I'm cocky. They think that I'm an asshole based on media portrayal throughout the course of my career, because there are some, media analysts, commentators, or what have you, that maybe had some personal thing against me, or I did something and they wanted to ride it out, and they just wanted to any little thing they wanted to compound it. And a lot of people think that I'm that way. So I appreciate you honestly for saying that, because a lot of people think that over the years, because the media has said I was this way or I was that way, they've tarnished my character. But nonetheless, I still just, I haven't gone out of my way to do anything different. I've always been this way. On the football field, when I'm competing, I'm the same kind of way. And obviously, like I said, you guys have been around some personalities, some character guys in bowling that, like I said, their personality comes out. But once they're off that hardwood, they're totally different. And so that's kind of how I was when I was on the football field. But again, I honestly, I appreciate you saying that and even noticing it.
Yeah, some of the articles and things seem like kind of hatchet jobs. Did you have some interactions with certain writers that you think ended up getting to be personal vendettas later on?
You broke up for a second at the beginning of that.
It said at the it seemed like there's some hatchet jobs, with some of the writers or media. Did you get sideways with some of them in a locker room, or was there some kind of interaction?
No, I didn't. I think when you think about really what has transpired over the last couple of years, and especially with how there's been a lot of racial tension across the country. You've seen a lot of people be more outspoken as to how they've been treated or how we as Black people have been treated. Maybe that factored into it a bit. I think over the course of my career, I think because I was a bit different than a lot of other guys, I was more outspoken in a sense. I think that's where they had an issue, or they tried to maybe quieten it down, put a muzzle on me, if you will. But I never really had any negative interactions with any of those guys. I think, because they don't know a person, and because of, they may hear something, or, they may get some information from one person or whatever. Maybe it may have been a not so great encounter. But that doesn't make me a bad person. But I don't recall ever having any negative encounters with any type of reporter, unless I felt like I was unfairly portrayed or something throughout my career, unless there was a situation that I felt like I got unfairly portrayed in regards to. But other than that, man, I know people are, it was something to how I was raised. My grandmother always told me to just be open and honest. And so sometimes, they say the truth hurts, or sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. But I would rather tell you the truth than to skirt around it or tell you a blatant lie. And so before I even knew anything about really playing the game or speaking or being politically correct, that's what I did. You asked me a question about what transpired or what happened, whether it was in the game or whatever the case may be. I gave you my honest answer.
Yeah, I mean, I go with the phrase, I'll stab you in the front, not stab you in the back.
Right, exactly. At least you know what's coming.
Here's one of our regulars. He bowls league occasionally with Chris. He says, Stu bowls league and seems to do well. Barnes tries and means well. Do you ever bowl tournaments or league on a regular basis?
I do not. I think honestly, I probably back in 2012 or 13, I wanted to say I said I was going to really try to really pursue it really seriously, and maybe try to get my pro card or something like that. But I just never really devoted enough time to obviously do it, because I was had a lot of other stuff going on. And I don't know if it's too late, but I'm pretty sure I probably still could or can. But I've never really played in any like really leagues on a regular basis. I haven't. And I think if I did, or if I took some lessons on a consistent basis, I think I would probably be pretty decent if I did.
When did you start bowling? And what made you want to bowl?
Well, 96 was the first time I like I said, I really picked up a ball. And that was only because of a charity event that the 90s were doing. And as a rookie, I mean, we all had to go or what have you. And so
Right.
that's where I ended up meeting Norm Duke. And then everybody was just bowling the ball straight, you know what I mean, with power just to, you know, throw it down there, you know, and
Yeah.
you're consistently, you're not going to get strikes, you know what I mean, enough to really compete with, you know, somebody on a competitive basis. So I didn't like the idea of just being there and just throwing the ball straight. I wanted to learn the basics. I wanted to learn how to really bowl. And so Norm basically took me off to the side. He gave me some lessons, and literally that week after, I went to the pro shop, to that same pro shop. I went and got some balls. I got them drilled, and a couple of guys. We started going bowling like on our day offs, and we started kind of competing against each other. And then I started kind of going by myself, and so because I got that itch, and so I started going, and just so happened I end up bowling a 288. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. Never bowled a 300, but I started bowling, and so I was just bowling, and so just kind of just remembering what Norm had told me, and I bowled 1 strike, 2 strike, then I got a 3 bagger, then a 4 bagger, then I got a 5 bagger, then I got a 6 pack, then I bowled 7, then I bowled 8. Then the crowd just literally, the crowd just started coming to me closer and closer and closer.
Oh, stop saying you're intimidated by a crowd.
Right. Then I got the 9, man, it was crazy. And man, I bowled a 288, and that was like, man, it was like the best thing I had ever experienced. So once I had done that, I really got the bug. I really got the itch. And so everywhere since then, everywhere that I've gone, I've had bowling balls drilled. I moved to Atlanta. I bought balls in Atlanta. I would go find me a pro shop. I would go to the Brunswick Bowl. I was going everywhere, you know, getting balls drilled. And so, man, I got the bug. I got the itch. And so bowling, like I said, when people say bowling isn't a sport, I just hate that it doesn't get the respect and love that it should. Honestly, you guys put in a ton of work. And honestly, like I said, I was willing to do whatever it took, obviously, to bring some exposure, you know, to the sport. And that was part of why I wanted to be around you guys and participate and partake in some of these events that you guys, you know, was having. Because I know you guys weren't really getting paid a lot of money. And for what you guys do and the amount of time that, you know, obviously everybody that puts in, you guys, honestly, like I said, you guys should be making millions of bucks, surely, for sure.
TO for president.
What's that?
I said TO for president.
We've had a couple of loaded questions in here. Who's the greatest QB of all time?
I mean, obviously, currently, right now, you think, you know, you can't help but to notice and see what Tom is doing, but he's doing some remarkable things. But I mean, the quarterbacks that I play with, and know, you know, the body of work that they've done. I mean, I can't deny what Joe Montana has done. I mean, when you go to 6 Super Bowls or whatever, and you win all of them, and you have no blemishes, then for me, that's the greatest of all time.
I like it. This is tying in. This is my wife says, just remember being in a limo with Chris at the ESPYs, and there you were. You were beyond kind. I've always been so respectful of the bowling world and the players. That's true. And before that, I was getting in an elevator at the ESPYs with Walter Ray. You walk in the elevator, and you look and I go, "You're Walter Ray." And then you looked at me, and I hadn't been on tour nearly as long at that point. And you're Chris Barnes. I'm like, well, yeah, but how do you know?
Right.
Is what I'm thinking. I'm like, and so we chalk, and you ask questions and about bowling, which, you know, obviously you watch it, and then the second funniest part about the whole thing, I'm like, that is unbelievably cool. T.O. just said hi and knew who I was. And you walked out,
right,
and we went to the next floor, and Walter went, "Who was that?"
That is too funny.
Well,
That's too.
but
That's funny.
to be fair, our favorite phrase on here, we went to Terrell Davis's charity event in Denver right after he won the MVP. And we basically went there because Walter was his favorite bowler. And I was on the same staff with Walter at the time. So the whole Brunswick staff goes there. And we had to tell him who Terrell was and why he was famous. Yeah, he's not a big NFL guy.
Right.
Not a big sports guy.
No. He's really good at what he does.
To be fair, I probably would be that way with probably some of the older guys or legends of the NFL. I didn't follow football when I grew up. I just ended up honestly playing the sport because that's what we do in the South. You know what I mean? We eat, sleep, and drink sports. And so I never thought I would be beyond the collegiate level. I only got to UT Chattanooga on the heels of another receiver that they're recruiting. So again, like I said, at the end of the day, I've told people, like, it's no disrespect, to my sport or anything like that. But I wasn't one of those guys that really studied or was a student or historian of my sport, and probably bad to say, but I just wasn't. I just played the sport because I was kind of good at it. I worked at it. I became, pretty decent at the position that I tried out for, and I ended up playing for a number of years professionally. But yeah, man, I wouldn't know probably some of the guys if I probably stepped on the elevator. It's crazy because I probably it's weird that I would know probably a bowler probably before I would know a legend or something back in the day that played football.
Oh, dear. So my wife's best friend says, Tina, it's really him. I'm missing my meeting to see the eye candy on the screen. So there you go.
I Latoya, what's happening?
And my wife chipping in too. He does have a beautiful smile. Don't tell my husband.
So on this show, we spend a lot of time giving AJ Johnson, your partner,
right, AJ. Yeah.
We give him a pretty much of a hard time the whole time. So the first person, what we mainly give him a hard time about is he's quite sensitive. And he has. I'm sure that he told you about his ex-girlfriend because you were with him for over an hour. So
now I don't think we got a chance to talk about it.
Man, you're lucky. He says TA got AJ a title ? Because we've been teasing him mercilessly about it. So we were going to ask, where does AJ rank as teammates that you've had?
Oh man, he was a good teammate. None of my teammates that I've had in the bowling circuit were bad. I mean, it's always been fun. I hated the times that I didn't get to make it or extend or really compete for the trophy. But other than that, man, all the teammates have been great. I loved when I teamed up with Pete. He was pretty much that character. They basically said. Prior to me, partnering with Pete, they said Pete was the TO of bowling, so I got a kick out of that. So it was very interesting and a good time just to be there with him because again he brought out he brought a lot of excitement to I'm sure to the sport of bowling. He's definitely a character, brought that personality out, and so yeah, I enjoyed it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead.
No, we were debating last night over what would be the bowling equivalent of running to midfield and dancing on the Dallas Star. And I was thinking that maybe it was beating Pete Weber and crotch chopping him.
Oh, yeah. Right. The crotch. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, it's like, I mean, I know, like I said, I've heard, a lot of you guys, have some personality. Some guys are kind of chippy. They can be a little bit competitive. Sean Rash is one of those guys. But again, you gotta have that. You gotta have that in every sport. You're gonna have that with certain individuals. It brings out the best of them. And it's like it's good for competition. I think sometimes, you need a little bit of that. If you don't like it, then you should be participating in it. I think it's great for the sport, to be honest. But I love, like I said, I love bowling. Honestly, I wish I could. I probably wish I could have just stuck it out and really concentrated and got more and more involved. Anytime, like I said, Tom asked me about anything pertains to bowling, if I can come, be a commentator or whatever the case may be. If I'm available, I tell Tom, like, yo, if I'm available, I'm there.
A little bit competitive. Understanding William. Yeah, I don't know. Many of you probably haven't seen his workout videos and some of the other things.
Belmo?
You.
Me? My work. Oh, my workout.
Yeah. No, I mean, at 40, you're 47. You look like you're 32 at most. You're still shredded. It's embarrassing to people of us of a certain age that we're relatively within the same age group, and that's where the comparisons pretty much stop. One thing I want to ask you: what made you more nervous, bowling, say the 288 or on the CP3, or running a route where they know you're coming your way? Like say the Packers game where you catch the touchdown in the middle of a giant crowd with 60 TVs back there waiting for you.
That's a good question. I'd probably say bowling. I mean, probably bowling, because again, with football, I mean, you kind of know what's to be expected, and at the end of the day, that play that I caught against the Packers, I mean, there's I don't know what the percentage is of a chance for me to catch that ball or him to throw that ball to me at that time. There were three other receivers that could have obviously had an opportunity to catch that ball at that particular time, but I knew I was one of the ones of the four. So I probably had a 25% of chance to catch the ball. I mean, JJ had an opportunity. I was in the slot. Jerry had an opportunity. I think Brent Jones, he was somewhere. So at the end of the day, like I said,
it was a fair receiving crew.
Route. What's that?
It was a pretty fair receiving crew.
Right. So at the end of the day, like I knew that I had an opportunity possibly to catch the ball. Prior to me catching that ball, I ran pretty much the same route. Like I said, I wasn't nervous or anything. I just I had a bad day. I had dropped the ball a few times, dropped a touchdown, had a fumble early in the game. I don't know how many mistakes that you can actually make and then actually come out on top. I mean, I don't know what's equivalent of the mistakes that I made. I don't know what's equivalent in bowling. And
he just got a call. He needs to drop out and come back in.
No, I just couldn't.
Perfect.
But yeah, I don't know what's equivalent. But yeah, that was one of those days, man, that like I said, it was one that kind of was a stepping stone, put me on the map a bit. But yeah, if I had to compare the two, I'd probably say bowling. I mean, you're in control of bowling, to be honest. And like I said, to bowl and then obviously like to have a pressure filled moment where you have to bowl a strike, when especially what the opponent has bowled, depending if you're going before or after that guy. The pressure really mounts when you're bowling, because that's where the precision, the skill, really the consistency, everything that you've practiced up until this point, that's where all of that comes into play. Just like football, but again, if you bowl in the gutter or you miss your mark, a lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you actually hook it so much, that best ball thing they do at the beginning sometimes to eliminate guys works against you way more than it does the guys that throw it down the middle.
Yeah.
You just hit the head pin.
It can be a bit embarrassing. I've bowled a couple of gutter balls on the show. That didn't really feel too good. I never thought I would do that, but that ball can get away. And if you, like I said, if you miss your mark and you get too far to the right and that ball get in that oil, it's not coming back.
So just so you know, just so you understand with this, our fans are coming out. It says If T.O. got his car today, he might get a title before AJ Johnson. And then Anthony Simonson, one of the greatest bowlers on the planet, says, how many times did AJ tell you how fit he is?
Actually, he I guess I must got the quiet side of AJ, because I didn't get this impression that I'm getting from him, none whatsoever. So I don't know if it was an intimidation factor. I don't know what it was, but I got none of this.
Oh, this is disappointing. So Greg Thompson says one of the few PBA guys who could stand next to you and not have to look down. You wouldn't have to look down to him. He said, I crossed with T.O. at the World Series. He was fun to bowl with. Greg's like, what, about 6'5"?
He's probably 6'7", I think. He's
a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing with bowling. I mean, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be fit. None of that. I mean, bowling, the people that bowl, they come in all shapes and sizes and ages, and bowl phenomenal. I mean, I've seen some older people bowl better than me. Like I said,
Chris is right here.
I mean, so it's bowling is for everybody, and you can bowl it for as long as you can throw that ball down the lane and you know what you're doing. That's a sport that, like I said, you can play for a lifetime.
Somebody needs to tell Tom Brady that football isn't that sport.
Right. Yeah. I think he needs to pick up a sport. I'm sure it'll probably be golf, like many others do. But yeah, I mean, bowling is fun. Bowling is really, really fun. I love it.
So one of my friends says he may have played just 1 year with my beloved Bills. He will always be a Buffalo Bill to me. That's my Hall of Fame receiver. Thank you, T.O. Great.
Oh,
great
man, appreciate it. Man, I enjoy it. Honestly, I did. I had 1 year there. I wish I could have would have extended me another year. I ended up playing in Cincinnati. After that, obviously management, I think the coaching staff, general manager, or whatever the case may be, they wanted to go with some younger guys or what have you, for whatever reason. But I mean, even when I went to, they basically were trying to say I was too old to play. But then I ended up going to Cincinnati, and really I outplayed Chad there, and I had like right at maybe 10 touchdowns, and I was right at 1,000 yards. So I mean, the production didn't drop off.
Chad was right in the middle of his best seasons right then too. So
right.
Yeah, no, I remember that was for a guy who was being considered on the back end. You were playing with the Pro Bowlers of the in the youth of their career.
Yeah, I did tell AJ that I was a Pro Bowler before he was, though.
That's funny.
More times than him too so far. You've had some great TD celebrations. Obviously, the Sharpie thing. We put a little thumbnail up for this one, and it was me signing the ball and handing it to you.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't throw it back at me, which is nice of you. I appreciate that. However, I did need it for the next game. So, what was the favorite TD celebration that you had planned and didn't get to use?
Nothing really. I mean, everything that that was premeditated, I end up doing it because as one of the highlights, part of the accolades that you mentioned, it was me scoring 2 touchdowns against every team in the league. So there wasn't a shortage of touchdowns to go around. So I was always prepared to do something. So there was none that I felt like that I had up my sleeve that I never got to do.
We know the ones that are kind of the most famous ones. What was your favorite one of all of them?
Probably either the popcorn one. That was impromptu, scoring in Dallas in the back of the end zone. And it's so crazy because I wasn't even aware that the fans were that close, and I don't know why he was there, but I got the popcorn. Once I scored the touchdown, I think I maybe ate a kernel or two. And then the Sharpie one, which was impromptu. That was something. I say impromptu because I I got the Sharpie from our manager, the training, the actual equipment guy, like right before I went out for that possession, that series that we went out there. So like I said, I try to tell people like, yo, it's kind of impromptu. Like, well, how is it impromptu? You didn't plan it when you had a sock. I had a pin in your sock. It's because I didn't have it there the entire game. I literally went out there right before that series, and I asked Doc. I was like, "Yo," I was like, "Do you have a Sharpie?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so he gave it to me. And so with a Sharpie, he thought I was gonna write something down or black something out or what have you. So he was expecting me to give it back, and I said, "You're good." And I just stuck it in my sock. And the defense I think they were, about to stop Seattle, and so we were about to get the ball back, and so I went on the field, and so within those 3 downs I ended up scoring, and that's when I ended up taking the pin out of my sock, and signing the ball. So that was one of the probably like the best one, maybe more the more controversial ones as well, aside from me going to the middle of the star in Dallas.
Was that the most expensive one?
Probably so, because I ended up getting the league didn't suspend me. I ended up getting suspended by my coach. And really there wasn't a reason why he should have suspended me, because there was nothing in the rule books that said that I couldn't do it. It wasn't deemed excessive, by the league or anything like that. I think it took on a negative flight of its own, and there was so much hoopla around it that he felt compelled to do something. And so I think that's where our relationship took a turn too, because I'm like, why would you suspend me just because everybody's making a big deal about it, and everybody on, like, it's like that Monday morning quarterback type of thing, like, oh well, he should be this, he should be that, he shouldn't be allowed to do X, Y, Z, when, like I said, I felt like I didn't have the support of my coach behind that. So that's kind of like where our relationship kind of went sideways, and from that point on, I was pretty ticked off to go home. End up missing like a week of games pay, which was a pretty hefty fine, all that good stuff. So but yeah, that was one that really stuck with me.
Now, you played with a lot of different quarterbacks. Which guy was your favorite one? Who made your job easy?
Yeah, I've had a lot of favorites for different reasons, and honestly, probably one of my favorite. A lot I've mentioned a few times, and people think that I just say it just to be saying it, but Ryan Fitzpatrick was one of my favorite quarterbacks, and I say that honestly because when I went to Buffalo, and we just talked about Buffalo, was that when I went to Buffalo, Trent Edwards was the quarterback. And so he was a young quarterback, and that was like on my 14th season. And so I was free agent at the time. I was looking to obviously still play after being released from Dallas. And so, the staff, the management and coaches, whatever, they told my agent at the time, they was like, well, we're not just going to guarantee him a starting spot or whatever. They had this perception of me that I was, arrogant. I was going to come in there and demand a spot, this and that and the other. And I was like, why would they think that? And I said, that wasn't part of any type of request or anything, a part of the negotiations or anything. That was some of the feedback that my agent had told me. And I said, I don't have a problem going in and competing, for the job or whatever. So once I got in and I signed on to the deal, Alex Van Pelt was the offensive coordinator or something like that. He came in and he goes, look, he's like, we know you're a vet. He's like, we know you can play. He's like, we want you to come in and, help groom this new, our young quarterback in Trent Edwards. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And so obviously he struggled a bit. His main target was Lee Evans. They had Josh Reed and some other guys. And so I really, like I said, I was there, I was open, but I wasn't getting the ball. I didn't get the ball a lot. He wasn't really throwing to me. And so, unfortunately for him, some injuries started to kind of, pile up, and then he ended up getting hurt. And then that's where they inserted Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's, everybody knows, like I said, he's been around the journeyman, team to team. And we got on the same page, like instantly. We clicked. And I think that was because of him being a veteran, him sitting on the sideline and seeing and being in the film room and watching film and tape and practice, and he saw that I was open a number of times. I just wasn't getting the ball. So with Trent, he went with what was comfortable for him. So for whatever reason, you would think as a quarterback, you go through your progressions, you go with who's open, whether you 1, 2, or 3 or 4, whatever, in the progressions of a play. But yeah, I mean, when I got a chance to play with Ryan and he got an opportunity to play, I started to really gel with him. And really, like I said, I was probably like 100 and something yards, maybe 170 yards at the end of the year from being 1,000-yard receiver. And that was pretty good considering I didn't really play a lot. I didn't really get a lot of balls with Trent. And obviously just when you play with teams in cold weather cities like Buffalo, the stats will take a hit because of the inclement weather. People don't really think about that. But even as a receiver, when I went there, I knew that I'm like, man, I'm not going to probably have 1,000 or 1,200 yard season because weather becomes a factor late in the season. But as I said, because of what I did and me perfecting my craft and me, really honing in on just that year and just trying to make the most of it and making the most of the opportunities, I came out. I fared out pretty well toward the end of the season. Didn't have a lot of touchdowns. I probably had maybe 5 or 6 touchdowns. But again, like I said, early on in the season, I didn't really get a lot of balls thrown my way.
So you played with some great guys with Steve Young, with Montana, with
Yeah. And again, like I said, that's no knock on any of those guys. But I mean,
no.
Yeah, but when you think about Donovan McNabb, like he's a different quarterback than Jeff Garcia. He's different than Tony Romo. He's different from Steve Young. He's different from Ryan Fitzpatrick. All those those quarterbacks. Honestly, I played with a number of them. I had to adjust my game to really every quarterback that I played with, and some of those guys had to adjust their game as well. Even with Carson Palmer late in my career, how I came to play with the Bengals was once the Buffalo Bills didn't bring me back, I was a free agent again, and I'm in LA. He's down in Redondo Beach training with a bunch of guys, Matt Leinart and some guys, and so I went out there. And actually, I met this is crazy. I met Matt Leinart at his bowling charity event that he had in LA. And that's when, it was around that summertime, right before camp. And he goes, yeah, he's like, a bunch of guys are in town. This was late, like mid to late July, right before training camp started. He goes, yo, we're going to be training out in Redondo. It's like, come out and throw. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I went out there, ran some routes, and Carson Palmer was out there. Some of the USC guys young guys were out there. And so Carson saw me running routes. He's like, man, he goes, you're a free agent? And so he went back to the staff with the Bengals, like, yo, this is, I heard it later on. He goes, man, T can still go. And so he had a hard time out throwing me. We ran some go routes or what have you. And so I always had to wait on the ball. And so for whatever reason, my speed is deceptive. I got a long stride, so it looks like I'm maybe running slow, but I'm eating up a lot of ground.
So what I'm hearing is Chad Johnson slow.
Yes. Chad is slow.
Yeah.
Oh, and he knows that. I will say that right here on you guys' show. Chad Johnson, you are slow, and he knows it. Chad is honestly, he's quicker than he is fast, and he knows that. I'll run Chad any day, but quick feet. Talk about quick. Oh yeah, his feet are quicker than mine, but he's not fast.
So a lot of these guys might have made your job easy. Which QB did you carry? And he got status because he got to throw to you.
Which QB did I carry?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think when you look at earlier when Steve Young left, I think when you think about the type of quarterbacks that he was, the quarterback he was versus what Jeff Garcia was, I did a lot. Considering the drop off in type or caliber of quarterback play with Jeff Garcia and Steve Young. Obviously, Steve Young was he possessed the same abilities or Jeff possessed the same abilities when you talk about being able to escape out of the pocket, make plays with your feet. But Jeff wasn't the quarterback Steve Young was as far as arm strength, really your traditional quarterback or your pocket passer. We had to basically cater our game to the strengths of Jeff Garcia. So we had a lot of out of the pocket type of plays, and a lot of plays that we made. We kind of improvised a lot, you know what I mean? Because when plays break down or what have you, then, you know, you have to get in the quarterback's vision. You have to make yourself available. And so, again, that was kind of the one of the things. If I had to say that I had to carry any quarterback just a bit, not just to take away from their skill set, it was because I had to change my game a bit to help assist and tailor to his strengths. It would be Jeff.
Okay. You didn't take the bait there. I thought you might go after McNabb, but
nah. I mean, McNabb. He possessed really the arm strength. He had the same mobility as some of the other guys that I played with, like Tony Romo. Just to, like I said, when plays break down, they use their feet to extend plays and make plays. But I think what hindered McNabb was just his accuracy, him being inaccurate, knowing when to put touch on the ball. Like he was strong as hell. Like he could throw the ball 60, maybe 70 yards. But I think that's what hindered him from really being in that top or conversations of elite quarterbacks. With bowling, you have to be precise. You have to have some precision and know where and when to throw it hard, when to take some off of it. If you need a little bit more rev with the ball or what have you. When the lane starts to break down, you have to know where and look at guys before you, how their balls are breaking and things of that nature based on how you throw it. Those are some of the things that I saw in his game that had he really honed in on that and really cleaned it up, he would have been just as great as some of the other guys. Now, I mean, he was a good quarterback, but that's why you don't hear him in the conversations of your Peyton Mannings and your Tom Brady's and your Drew Breeses. Those are the little minute things that I saw in his game that had he cleaned that up a bit, by no means like he would have been really up there, some of the top quarterbacks that ever played the game.
So, all right, I'm gonna change it up a little bit, right? What's the stupidest thing you've ever bought? Like that you woke up the next morning and you're just like, why did I do that?
Man, I don't know. The stupidest thing I've ever bought. I don't know if I've bought anything stupid.
Oh, come on.
But
We've
in the moment,
after the fact,
you kind of justify in the moment why you bought it.
But,
100%. I mean, I've lost some. There's some stupid things that I've done to lose money, like play some card games, play Boo Ray and some stuff like that. That was stupid. And it's so funny. I was cleaning out my just probably about a month ago. I had some storage brought to my house. I moved to a new place and I was going through storage and I saw one of my old checkbooks from back in the day. And I remember I had to pay some money. Like literally, I basically paid a guy like he bought a house. I basically paid him a house and a car. Yeah, I saw that. I saw my checkbook. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yo. And I remembered, I was like, yeah, I had to pay him that much. But again, I won some too, but it kind of maybe balanced itself out. But yeah, I had to pay in excess of more than 200,000 to someone losing in cards.
That one,
yes.
Yeah, it still hurt. That one hurt a little.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've had it to where I've seen guys on the plane ride lose large amounts of money, and I've had guys throw it in their faces like the next couple of days where they've gone with that money and bought a brand new car the next day and then drive it to practice. Yes.
Yeah. I can imagine that.
It got that serious.
Yeah.
So
so anything stupid, I don't think I've ever bought anything stupid though. I mean, we all kind of like say, if you go back to it at that point in time, you kind of, it's justifiable as to why you purchased it. So I wasn't a really
like iguanas.
I was kind of frugal. Yeah, in a sense, I was kind of frugal. I like nice things, but I didn't go over the top. I splurged every now and then, but I never really went over the top. People that know me, I never really, went too far with it. I mean, I bought a Rolex, an all diamond Rolex, I think about $100,000 or something like that. But that was probably like the most expensive thing outside of, I didn't even really like cars like that. Like I like right in the middle of the road type of cars, you know what I mean? Get me a nice SUV, whatever, it wasn't too far high end. I didn't have like any of the sports car like Porsches or Lamborghinis or any of those things.
Okay. So Linda asks, how much trash talking goes on the field and who are the best trash talkers?
There's quite a bit. I mean, I tried that once just to try to talk trash during the course of a game. And a lot of people think that I talk trash because but if you think about it, when you're hearing they see those highlights and they talk about T.O. the trash talk he did, I'm always on the sidelines when I'm doing that. So it's not like I'm talking during the game. I knew where the cameras were, behind the bench or whatever. So I kind of just knew where to, talk to whomever. Like even when, people were, some of the commentators were critical, maybe some weeks before or the week of, I knew that, we played primetime games. I made sure to look in the camera and really talk to those guys that really tried to talk trash, or as I alluded to earlier, a lot of those guys had a lot of negative things to say about me as far as, who I was as a person, oh, he's a great player, but he does this, he does that. He's not a great teammate. So, I would have some choice words for him once I looked into the camera. But the best trash talker on my team that I played was Ken Norton Jr. And this guy right here, he talked trash in practice all day in the locker room during the games. And I don't know how he does it, because I tried to do that one time. And I remember the game that I tried to do it. It was a game, actually, I caught I broke the record for most catches in the game. It was against Green Bay. And so I knew going into that game, that was Jerry Rice's last game. So I wanted to kind of, take a back seat or what have you. And so, they started talking trash and they was trying to take him out of the game. And so I started to try to talk trash a little bit back to them. And dude, I got so exhausted. I had to check myself out of the game because I was trying to run around, run routes, and talk and jog back and forth. Dude, I got so gassed. I had to come out for a few plays because I'm like, yo, how does Ken Norton do this? Like, he's running around trying to tackle, knock people's heads off, and talk trash about them at the same time. Dude, it was the most exhausting thing I had ever done. And from that point on, I never really talked anymore during any games. Every now and then it'll get chippy, a few words, exchanged here and there, but never really talked a lot of trash. I kind of let my play do the speaking for me. And then it kind of got known too, like, during the course of my career, that once you tick me off, then it kind of elevated my game a bit. So they didn't really do that.
Sign of the greats. you don't wake the bear.
Exactly. You poke that bear, hey, be prepared. Be careful what you ask for and what you're poking for.
So here in Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald was famous for telling the defensive backs, if you hit me high, I'll pay you fine. Just don't hit me in the knees. Did you ever feel like that was a good plan?
I guess I never, I don't know who said that. I never really thought about it.
Larry Fitzgerald is that's one of his deals, I guess, with the defensive backs, that as long as they don't hit low, he's fine with it. If they hit him in the head and there's a helmet to helmet, he'll pay their fine. That's
oh, wow.
That was the alleged,
he was out there negotiating, making business decisions.
Yeah.
He was out there making
it out for him. He played forever.
Right, exactly. That explains it. I mean, the last couple of years that he played, that's he ended up moving past me on the receptions list, and not or the yards or something. No, I think receptions, or it may have been yards, one of them.
Yeah.
But that's probably what went into that. Now I wish I could get back on that field and try to erase some of that.
Yeah, do some negotiating.
Right, exactly.
The Giants right now can use anybody that can run a route.
Oh man, it's not like I can't play. Actually, once I get done with you guys, honestly, I'm about to go do some training anyway. So Yeah. So again, like I said, I've been still training just in case anything were to happen or arise a situation. So I mean, I remember when I was in San Francisco, we had a guy that we needed a safety. One of our safeties went down. We were in the playoffs. We were kind of depleted in the secondary. And I know his name is Tim, but I can't remember his last name. But they brought in a safety. He hadn't played in, honestly, I remember he hadn't played in at least 10 years. At least 10 years, and they brought him in for the playoffs. And so yeah, so I never rule out the possibility of me coming back to play by any means. So I always try to keep myself in shape. Like I said, you got to stay ready so you have to get ready.
There you go. One of our sponsors says if T.O. played in today's game, his stats would be ridiculous.
Oh yes, I mean no doubt. I mean if I went in right now, we're probably at the halfway point. I would say I would at least I would score at least probably 5 to 7 touchdowns. Given the fact of where I would play, especially in the red zone and third down situation, where I would be advantageous.
Your 40 times listed at 4.6, but you always played faster than that. What's your 40 time now?
About a few months ago, some months ago, I ran like a 4.4 something. But yeah, I mean that's part of my training. But yeah, I got faster as I played. I wasn't known for being a burner. I wasn't known for my speed or by any means. As you said, when I went to the combine, that was my time. My 40 time was a 4.63, and then my individual workouts, I did improve upon those times with my individual workouts, and I was anywhere between 4.52 and 4.55. But the fastest that I ran was like a 4.47 when I was coming out of college. We ran indoors, and so and I was working with a guy, a track guy actually, to help me get my 40 time down. So, and it was I ran on the inside, and that was kind of like my fastest time. But I've run faster than that since then.
Switching it back up a little bit, what's been the toughest nuance of bowling for you to hone in on?
Just I guess the consistency. I mean, obviously, just understanding the boards and foot placement, the approach, and just how effortless you guys make it look. When bowling strikes, and it's so funny. I'm a mental guy, and so I hadn't really, honestly, this past CP3 tournament, I hadn't bowled in like 2 years, so that was my first time picking up a bowling ball in like literally in 2 years. And so I went there an hour before just to kind of work the kinks out a bit. But as you guys saw, like I said, I bowled decent, but I didn't bowl well enough for my standards. I even bowled a Brooklyn. I was ragging. I'm on a group chat with Sean Rash and Tom and CP3, and obviously before the show aired, we got our trophy or what have you. So once I got it, they shipped the trophy to me. I put the trophy in my front seat, put the seat belt on and everything, took a picture with it, sent it to Chris and Sean and all those guys. And I told them, like, yeah, now the trophy's right where it belongs, and it's back with me. And so, yeah, so I mean, when I'm watching you guys bowl, that's how it was when I was playing football early on in my career. I was watching guys, how they run routes. I watched everybody, and the same for me. Like, I would probably do the same thing if I was really trying to pursue bowling. I would look pretty much at everybody's game and try to, take a little bit of something to try to enhance what I do best, and then kind of work out my kinks. And so, but I think just the consistency of just knowing where and when to make adjustments when the lanes break down. Initially, like I said, you got your THP, which is your typical house patterns. People think that just because they go to like your typical bowling alley and they can bowl high numbers there that they can go and bowl with you guys and fare out pretty well. And this, I'm like, yo, bro, it's totally different. I mean, the oil patterns obviously are different, and that's what I learned, and I had to adjust my game based on the oil patterns. I think one year, Chris, they changed the patterns up. I think, I don't know what tournament it was, but I mean, they had the bear, they had scorpion, they had all these different patterns.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, and so you had to adjust your game based on those. And so I'm like, man, this is crazy. And it honestly, that made me nervous, because I'm like, yo, this is something new for me. For you guys, it was an easy adjustment. But for somebody that it's brand new to, it's like, okay, I got to learn how to do this like right now on the fly. But you guys can do that in your sleep. And so that's what, like I said, I'm sure, like I said, you guys can go bowl 8, 9 strikes, in a row like it's nothing. And for me, like I said, I'll bowl a few strikes here and there in a row. But that's the toughest thing is making those adjustments when you need to, especially seeing the patterns as they break down.
Our sponsor and obviously our friend, no relation to me, by the way. Stu and Chris might be able to make the bowling look easy. If they started their 40-yard dash now, they might finish by the end of the show.
Oh,
Depends
wow.
what was at the end of the dash.
And oxygen at the end.
Yeah, everybody piling in, and the medic.
And a medic.
Oh man, they
They're on us now.
Yeah.
Linda wants to know if you, by the way, your hands are gigantic. Your stand's like 5.5 inches or whatever. It's
so funny.
I don't know if you need 2 hands, because you can pretty much palm the ball anyway.
Well, that's so funny, because I'm bowling, and even some of the new guys that was bowling with us, like Darren and some of the guys I hadn't bowled with, they were asking me, like, man, do you put are your fingers in the holes? Because I guess because of the way I hold the ball, people don't think that I have my fingers in the hole. But I'm like, yeah, they think that I grip it like a basketball and just throw it down there. But no, I use the inserts and things of that nature. And but yeah, I don't put my thumb all the way in for whatever reason. I just go with comfort. But yeah, once I give the guys my specs, they be like, oh snap. They're like, yeah, we haven't seen these measurements around here.
No, it's a little bit like Smallwood, where he just puts in like the one knuckle of his thumb.
Right.
So it kind of sits on the side there, and his hands though are literally 2 inches smaller than yours are. But it's almost like Doherty. I mean, he's really strong too, and he basically one-armed, but with no thumb.
Right. But I mean, it's amazing to see, like I said, the different body types and shapes and sizes, and how everybody kind of like they finesse the ball. I mean, there are some guys you can barely, the ball, the release and everything is so smooth. I mean, you can't even hear the ball even hit the board. And some guys you can hear it a little bit, but it's amazing to see the approach and the release of everyone, even the women. I think it's so remarkable. It's an art to the sport that I like. And again, it's equivalent, I'm sure, to, for the viewers that are watching, if you play golf, it's like golf, because you have to read the oil patterns, you have to read the greens. It's all about the release, it's all about the approach. All these things that are they're very, very similar. There are a lot of parallels to golf. And again, like I said, it's so remarkable to watch. I mean, even watching like big guys like Wes Malott, watching him throw the ball. Obviously Bill O'Neill. I mean, everybody. I mean, it's EJ Tackett. I mean, it's so remarkable to see these guys, throw that ball down there.
Well, it's nice of you to give respect to that. And it's one of the things I loved about the ESPYs, especially early on, is that the respect that was given regardless of income across the board, because it was basically the 1% of the 1%, and everybody in there had to put in and sacrifice a certain extent to get to that level, whether it was darts, fishing,
Right.
Racing, football. I mean, there's a different amount of physical requirements for sure, but the dedication. I think I heard in a different interview you have a system, 3Ds.
Yep.
And,
Desire, dedication, and discipline. Those are like when I look back and reflect back on my career, and I emphasize those 3Ds because like I look at it as my pillars of success, and it's how I got to be who I am today. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I never thought I would play beyond the collegiate level. I wouldn't have gone to college had it not been for a scholarship to UT Chattanooga. And so again, they afforded me the opportunity to play there. Honestly, I just thought I was going to go there, play 4 years of college, and get an education just to go to school. But I never looked at football as something that I thought I would pursue beyond my 4 years of college. And to the point of, I walked on the basketball team there because I love basketball so much. And so it would be equivalent, like I said, had I had the bug, had I known about if UT Chattanooga had a bowling team, I probably would have tried to go out for the bowling team. Maybe I would be better. Maybe could really compete with you guys. But yeah, man, that's when I think about, and it's applicable to any sport, any job, occupation, or whatever. My 3Ds are very applicable to anything that you have going on, because if you have a desire to be or do something in life, the other 2Ds, all you got to do is just really factor in those other 2Ds, your dedication, and then your discipline. You got to dedicate yourself to your craft, and then discipline really is it's that bridge of what your set goals are until it's that bridge to get you to that ultimate level of success, whatever that success may be to you. Discipline is that bridge to get you there. And so for me, discipline, I used it, like I said, obviously to really do a lot of things that a lot of people weren't willing to do. That was really you had to sacrifice. And I think, when you talk about sacrificing, that's, dedicating yourself to your nutrition. Speaking from a football standpoint, obviously, lifting weights and taking care of your body, that's part of it. But for me, I had to discipline myself, to obviously get the right amount of sleep. I didn't drink during the season. I ate healthy throughout the course of the season. So that's 6 to 7 months that I ate no fried foods. And I'm from the South. I grew up on fried chicken, cornbread, collard greens, all that, So when I got a taste of what it was like to eat healthy and see the benefits and saw how it, obviously it did wonders, and I optimized my performance by the way that I took care of my body. Once I started training every year in April, I didn't eat a bad food, didn't drink anything bad till like probably January or February. So throughout the course of the season, even when my friends went out, and everybody is different. They would drink, they would eat pizza, they would eat bad foods. Even on the road, when we traveled, we had Popeyes, chicken, and things of nature. I didn't eat any of that stuff because I knew that I had my goal in mind. I know what I needed to do in order to be or try to be one of the greatest to play my position. And I had a great mentor and the greatest guy to learn from in Jerry Rice when I was in San Francisco. So coupled with, my own abilities, my physical attributes, and then you couple in, like I said, my dedication and my discipline, in addition to my desire, that was everybody got to see on Sundays or any primetime game, everything that went into that. And they marveled at on Sundays when I was scoring touchdowns or, making big plays here and there. That's what went into it. My desire, my dedication, and my discipline. I just didn't wake up, one morning and just like, oh, I'm going to play football and became this great football player. Because honestly, like I said, I was still striving for greatness even in my eighth year, my ninth year, my 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th year, even into my 15th year, even when I think around year 8, I think 9 or 10, when I was with the Cowboys, my receiver coach Ray Sherman, who had come over from Green Bay Packers, I basically pulled him to the side and I said it to a couple of other coaches too. I was like, yo, don't be afraid to keep coaching me. I said, I don't know everything. I said, you've seen a lot of plays. You've seen a lot of players. I said, keep coaching me. If I'm not doing something right, tell me, let me know. I want to be the best that I can be. I had already seen the greatest do it to ever do it. I had seen him up close. I played with him for about 4 or 5 years in Jerry Rice. I took whatever tools and things that he did, watched film on him. And then, like I said, I took all of that, and added it to my to my toolbox.
Charlie Herman says, I'm going to go eat an apple now.
You're inspiring our viewers.
Too fun. I just saw somebody said, I'm about to go eat an apple now.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's too funny.
Donnie Benson says, start training for the PBA 50 tour now. You got any aspirations for that? Still a little ways off. But.
What's that? The PBA 50? When is that?
Well, once you get to 50.
Oh,
yes.
The 50 and over tour.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go and steal Barnzy's retirement fund.
Okay, yeah, I got a little ways to go, but yeah, maybe I may put that on my list. Maybe that's something that I can shoot for. But honestly, I wish, and I say this with all sincerity, you guys, like I said, I've talked to Sean Rash about this too, and I was like, man, what can I do? What is there anything that I can do to help? Obviously bring more notoriety to the sport of bowling. How can I, again, maybe somehow generate some revenue in some way, shape, form, or fashion to get you guys paid more? I don't know what that looks like, but I told him, I said, yo, if I could be of any help, bro, I said, just give me a call. I'm there. Because like I said, to understand and know what you guys do. And like I said, bowling, that it's not a chump sport. It looks easy. And sometimes, and that's what I get in the streets when people watch football. You get these guys that sit on the couch and watch games, or they had, they played in high school and like, oh, I can do this or whatever. Why did he make that? How did he do that? Why he didn't do this? It's not that easy. You can basically in your mind, like, yo, you can take that play and like, oh, I can do that. But it's just not that one play. You got to play the entirety of it. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of these guys that sit on the couch and say that they can do X, Y, Z, they're on the couch for a reason. They didn't play for a number of years, or they didn't extend their football career for a reason, because somewhere along the way, they weren't willing to put in the hard work that it entails to obviously reach to that level. So it's easy to sit on the couch and be like, oh, I can do this or I can do that. Just like you guys, you guys throw strikes and you make it look easy. And I'm like, I get out there, I'm like, man, it's like you guys throw the ball down there and you guys got a clicker or something in your hand, and the ball hits the pin and all the pins fall down. You get a strike. It just doesn't work that way. So I'm always, like I said, I still marvel at the skill set that you guys have, and that can do it consistently. And that's the difference between, I'm sure, in your sport, good bowlers and great bowlers. And then those pressure moments, the moments that you have to rise to the occasion, that's what separates really the good bowlers from the great bowlers. And there's a number of great bowlers that have bowled a lot of games.
So what you're telling me is I can't yell on Sunday at the screen when my fantasy receiver drops her in the end zone? I can't go, geez,
nah.
I could have caught that one.
I'm sure there are some bowlers that have probably watched you guys bowl and like, man, how can he not get a strike?
How can he miss that single pin?
I'm sitting right here.
No, how can you
guys leave me alone? Leave me alone. Stop picking on me.
It's like, how can you not get the 316? That's easy. How can you not get that? So, but honestly, everybody that saw this past CP3 tournament, like I said, I had to shoot a couple of spares, and one was the 316. And for me, it was easy. It was easier hitting the 3-6-10 than it is getting a strike to me. And I'm like, but that's just, I don't know what it is. When I got up there, I'm very confident that if I got a spare, I'm going to get my spare. That's just how I felt. And so like some of the guys, they was like, dude, they're like, man, your spare game was on point. I even had people that watched the game and they was like, dude, they was like, they put the fire emoji. They're like, your spare game, fire emoji. Like, they was like, but I'm like, that's just how I felt. Like I understand. I don't know what it is, but some people have innate abilities to do certain things in certain situations. And for me, that shooting those spares, you don't want to shoot spares, but if you got to, then when you got to have them, you need them, you want to hit them. But for me, it was like a walk in the park for me.
So are you available next year to shoot Chris's spares at the Weber Cup?
Hey, just let me know if you guys can if you guys can implement a rule to have somebody come in and shoot the spares for me. Hey, ring me up, put me on the list.
Bring me in, coach.
Right. It's so funny. Honestly, I want to do more, honestly, to bring a lot of attention to the sport of bowling. I don't know what I can do, but like I said, I may revisit this conversation with Tom because again, like I said, it's such a relaxing sport. Like I said, it's not easy by any means, but it's a sport that deserves a lot more credibility and a lot more attention, more exposure than it's gotten over the years. And so again, like I said, I've run into Mika and all these guys. I mean, I've watched some video of these guys, play, and I like going into bowling alleys where it's the real hardwood, that the nostalgia. I mean, you got the synthetic woods and stuff now, but then you go in some of these old bowling alleys where they still have that hardwood, and you just feel it. You just feel it, and you can just kind of just smell it, and you just want to just go in there and just bowl all day. But I still, like I said, I want to do whatever I can. We have an old bowl. I'm from Alexander City, Alabama, and I remember growing up, we had a bowling alley, and it was a skating rink, but the building is still there, but nobody does anything with it. And obviously people have watched me bowl. And so one of my friends asked me, because, man, you need to come to town and open this bowling alley up, refurbish it or renovate it or whatever. So I'm thinking maybe that's something that maybe I can do, or, I can talk about maybe bringing the tournament or doing renovating that bowling alley and bringing the tournament to do it there. Maybe in a year or two or something like that. But like I said, I again, the years that I appreciated you guys playing in the tournaments, and then just getting to know you guys off the lanes has been remarkable and exciting as well.
Well, Tia, I really appreciate everything that you have done for bowling and you continue to do for bowling. And we were remarking that I don't know that you're an unsung star, because in an event like the CP3 event, you were, other than the host himself, you were by far the next most famous person there. He has been on a team in a few years. So,
Right.
No, I think it's fantastic what you've done. I really appreciate how much of yourself and your time, including today, that you've given to bowling without and everybody knows how cheap I am, so of course it's you're not getting rich off this. So we've taken up enough of your time, but I surely appreciate it. If you got anybody else you want to thank, or
man, just the PBA itself. Obviously Tom Clark, he's been very instrumental. He got me involved. Obviously Sam and a lot of the guys that I bowled with, in the World Series of Bowling, bowled at South Point. Obviously, like I said, been to Detroit, a number of other places where, I participated in. Man, just to go in there and just watch you guys and just be around you guys, it gave me that itch and that bug to want to bowl more. And so again, like I said, when I seriously say I want to do more, and if I can do something, obviously to help generate money, like I said, I don't know why it doesn't get the respect as some of these other sports that's making, these guys are making tons of money. But you guys, like I said, you guys are definitely grossly underpaid, considering what you guys do. So like I said, anything that I can do, like I said, you guys got my number. Hit me up anytime. Like I said, all the guys that I've met along the way. Obviously now I think it's on Fox. I mean, obviously with COVID, everything is kind of shifted and pivoted. Not a lot of the same people are with the crew of Tom anymore. So this year was totally different. I was used to seeing Janae and everybody. So, I mean, they've been so very, very helpful, even with travel and things of that nature. So I just thank you guys in as a whole, just for, again, embracing me, Storm. I mean, all the different groups of people, brands, Brunswick, Motive, Roto Grip. Like, I mean, people don't understand, like, there's a lot that goes into bowling. Like, I mean, to even get throw balls and just to, that you're comfortable with, that says a lot in itself. Just to try to get sponsorship dollars and things of that nature, it doesn't come easy. So I appreciate you guys for all that you guys have done.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time, and thanks again for joining us today. I look forward, maybe we can do it again sometime. But
Yeah.
and if nothing else, maybe at the CP3. Who would you want to bowl with? Who would be your favorite partner for the CP3? Put you on the spot here.
Oh man, I mean, well, I gotta go. I mean, right now it's me and AJ. We gotta defend our title. I mean, that's just how it goes. This is how it goes. We gotta defend our title. But I mean, everybody's, like I said. I mean, your style of bowling is different than Norm, than Pete, than Sean's. So again, it's so crazy because you're watching everybody, and then watching you guys were very helpful for me because, like I said, I'm not a professional by any means, but you guys are watching my mechanics. You're kind of watching my ball placement, this and that and the other. You know how I throw the ball. I'm a down and in type of guy. You know what I mean? I like it. I like the reaction on the back end. So again, it's like I said, I've said it so many times. It's just remarkable to watch. So again,
all right,
if we're winning. If it was me and you, we went into, hey, it's you, Chris. Hey, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm just saying, one of us has one of those trophies. One of us has two.
Yeah, I mean, I got two, so So right now, hey, it's me. I told AJ, I was like, yo, we got. I'm gonna be prepared. I'm gonna be better prepared this year because now I gotta catch Chris, and I think. I don't know if you guys saw the the little dialogue that I was going, the comments that I was making on Twitter. Chris tried to really be sneaky this year. He tried to pull these shenanigans, and I for whatever reason, his dad ended up being in the group, being part of the pairs, and I'm like, he's not even. I know he's your dad, but he's not a professional. He's not. He's not a celebrity or anything. So I just saw it as Chris trying to increase the chances of the trophy. In the.
Well, I did hear Kyler Murray and Devin Booker were late.
No, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, Kyler, obviously some of the COVID protocols, they were being, overly cautious for that. Right. And then I think Devin, I think it was he ended up having COVID. Oh, wow. So they had some late scratches in there. So I get it, but I knew that. But I was being funny with saying that Chris was up to some shenanigans, understanding that he was trying to, keep the trophy in the family. You know what I mean?
On the field a little.
You just need to worry when Cliff Paul bowls.
Who was that?
Cliff Paul. Oh, no.
The adverts. You don't watch as much TV as us.
Who was that?
Chris Paul, when he does the adverts for State Farm, he has Cliff Paul.
Oh yeah. Cliff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When Cliff Paul comes to bowl, then you should worry.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, he might need to just do that. That may be who needs to fill in for Chris. But being that you guys said it, I will be ready.
All right.
Thanks, Theo. You're the best.
Man, you're fantastic. Thanks for showing up here, and get a chance, he also has a clothing line, Prototype 81. He
Yep,
has a wine blend. I believe it's
81. Yeah, it's a cab blend. Go to 81vino.com. I have some candles that I'm just launching a couple of months ago. Go to soultryaura.com. That's SOULTRYAURA.com. So yeah, and all the scents that I have is dedicated to those 3 pillars of success that I mentioned earlier. So there's a scent for desire, there's a scent for dedication, and then there's a scent for discipline. And in addition to the wine, we have a wine pairing candle as well, and that one is called Le Doré.
Okay.
all right. Well, there you have it. Check those out. Again, thanks again for one of the greatest of all time joining us here, a Pro Bowler amongst Pro Bowlers.
That's right.
You guys get a chance, once again, please support the sponsors that support us. Storm,
Yep,
Rotogrip,
absolutely.
Liner Global, Vice, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Bowlers Mark, Mark Baker Bowling, Fire Lake Bowling Center, Platinum Ford, Lightning Strikes, and True Grit Coatings. Thanks to the great TO. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.
Yep. And thanks to Mark Baker too. He pulled me to the side and gave me some tips, some bowling tips as well. Took a few lessons from him as well. So thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
All right.